Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round 11 of the Formula 2 season. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Car Mentalist, and once again, joining me in the commentary box today is a slightly delayed Mr. QVR Taka. Taka, how are you doing, mate?
Thank you, Aidan. Doing very well. Looking forward to this one yet again here at the Formula 2 Championship. This week comes to you from Monza, Italy, the Temple of Speed. Looking forward to this one. Of course, we're now round 11, so we're now deep into the second half of this season. Looking forward to seeing how the championship fight unfolds, because after the last round, well, your ever heavy and flowing championship fight between Larkin and Toxic after the last round, it's closer than ever ahead of this one.
It really is, yeah. Just a catch-up briefly on what happened last time out. It was another dominant feature race victory for Toxic last time out. We're just getting ready to go into qualifying. But the sprint race, Toxic sprint race, really fell apart. Once again, I think I kind of lost count really of how many times something has gone wrong for Toxic in the sprint race so far this season. And what could have been a massive championship lead for him coming out of that round ended up coming out with a championship lead that is literally nothing. We've completely reset the championship. Let's talk you through the rest of the standings then before we get ready for qualifying. After the top two, who are both on 353 points, it's an 87-point gap back to Verstappen, currently in third. He's 11 points ahead of his teammates, so the fight between the two Trident cars for third at the moment is still raging on. Fifth in the standings currently is Axel Zaudemer. He's a further 53 points back from those two. 19 points behind Zaudemer is QVR Chill. Then it's Pease in 7th. Alt Maverick in 8th, ahead of Gary and Miami, the two ART cars who finish off the top 10. Outside the top 10 we have both LON cars of Alex and Tim, Danny Boy, Philippe, ISRL Jordan, Lando Norris, XLJ Cole, Ton, XL Ryan and Caesar round off your top 20 in the standings at the moment. And last week out, Lando Norris was actually our top point scorer with two very, very good results in the end in both the sprint and the feature race. And he's definitely one to look out for the rest of the season, isn't he?
Yeah, and of course we've seen just the raw pace that he's shown in both of these feature races in particular, and the rounds he's competed in. So looking forward to seeing how he fares throughout the rest of the season. I believe we're getting into one shot very soon, though.
We are, yeah. So we're just going to ride on board with Miami then for qualifying. We're riding on board with him round the Autodrome Monza. Here he comes then down the pit straight into the first chicane. Very easy to outbrake yourself into this corner. It's so easy to get too late on the brakes. Down into about 125 metres before the corner. Miami hits the brakes nicely on the apex for the first part. Doesn't go down into first gear. Keeps it in second gear for less wheel spin on the exit, but he doesn't quite get the turn through the corner. Now for the Curva Grande. Not really a corner in modern cars anymore. It's easy flat, and now coming up into the Della Roggia chicane, the second chicane on the track. One of three chicanes around here. Again, braking just before the 100-metre braking board. Hops over the sausage curb on the inside of both sides, and then coming out towards the two Lesmo corners. Two very corners to get right, but crucial to get right in the middle part of this lap. Through Lesmo 1, runs a little bit wide, has a bit of understeer, but gets away with it. And now into Lesmo 2. This is crucial to get right for the long run down towards the Ascari chicane. Again, a little bit of mid-corner understeer for Miami. Doesn't quite get the turn in he would want. Now down the back straight, the second DRS zone on the track, and into the Ascari chicane, the three apex chicane. Hit the brakes at about 100 metres once again, hop over the curb on the inside through the long right, which is very easy to clip the curb and spin. Same coming out the final part of the Ascari chicane, and now down the back straight towards turn 11, the final turn on the track, the Parabolica corner. Again, another corner crucial to get the exit right, to get the run onto the next straight. In qualifying, it's not too important because the line is quite close to the exit of the corner. Through the corner again, a little bit of understeer, gets away with it, doesn't run very wide, keeps the car right to the right hand side for the shortest run to the line. He comes up to the line, but once again this season Toxic is on pole position, and around a track with only 11 corners, Toxic ends up taking pole position by over 3/10 of a second. What a lap from Toxic once again.
Yeah, Toxic, ever dominant in qualifying. I've just managed to get myself into the lobby, so I'll be joining you very, very soon. I don't think I can actually jump in quite yet until we actually get into the race session. But, yeah, Toxic on pole position. I'll leave it to you, Aidan, to run us through it. But, yeah, Toxic pole yet again and claiming the championship lead with it.
Yeah, with those qualifying points, he retakes the championship lead then. He's on pole by 0.3 of a second over Verstappen. Campbell third, so a good qualifying for Trident. Lando in fourth ahead of Pease and J. Cole fifth and sixth. Zaudemer seventh. Larkin once again, after a good qualifying last time out, back down to the bottom end of the top 10. It's eighth for Larkin, just ahead Miami ninth. And Alt Maverick rounds off the top 10. Tim, Nolan, Alex, Jordan, Freak, Ryan, Ibo, Chill, Spag are the rest of your finishers. Chill and Spag not able to set times in this session. Two big names that that could play a part in this race at the back of the field.
Yeah, and it's becoming a bit of a recurring theme with QVR Chill. He seems very hit and miss in qualifying this season. We've seen sometimes he's able to get himself consistently up onto the front two rows, but then he'll go through runs where he's invalidating starting at the back. He really needs to try and get that consistency down. But now we're heading in to our feature race. Looking forward to this one as always. But Toxic on the front, and with the two Trident cars chasing him, very similar to the situation we had in the sprint race last time out in Spa. We know how that one ended. We'll see if this one will end up the same fate. Actually, I've got two championship contenders mixed up because it was Larkin that was leading that race, not Toxic. But Toxic, of course, is going to be looking over his shoulder, trying to keep those guys behind as always. We'll see if he can make it work. See if the Tridents can apply any pressure. We're getting into it now. Seconds out, we get into the feature race for the Italian round of the championship.
This is going to be very, very exciting, especially that run down towards turn one. It's quite a long run into the first chicane with a heavy braking zone. It's very, very common for you to see some sort of errors into the corner. Either people outbraking themselves or running wide on the exit of the corner can cause chaos. Let's have a look and see what people are doing in terms of tyre strategies. Again, soft and mediums are the two compounds here. And once again, most drivers in the field going for the soft to medium strategy around here, apart from Verstappen on the front row has gone for a set of the medium tyres. Larkin in 8th has gone for a set of the mediums, and Spag in 19th and last place on the grid has gone for a set of medium tyres. So 3 big names all taking very risky gambles.
And particularly Verstappen on the front row has so much track position to lose and is really going to gamble on this one. We'll see if he can make that one work. Try and move with the guys around him off the line. He's in a great position, but slip back and, well, you've given up track position at a track where DRS trains could build up, making it very difficult to actually get back through. So Verstappen's going to have to play his cards right on this start. Toxic may be a little bit thankful for that. We know it is a very long run down towards turn one. The slipstream's very powerful. Having the car that's starting closest to him on the grid on a slower, less grippy tyre will help him out. We'll see if he can maintain the lead. Watch out for Campbell and Lando. They'll have slipstream immediately off the line. It's probably one of the more unpredictable sequences of corners to start the season here. Of course, it's such a unique track in terms of its very stop-start, huge long straights you're going to be seeing. But yeah, keep an eye out for the guys on the second row. They could really be challenging. A track where slipstream is so powerful. Toxic on pole position, but he could really be looking in his rear-view mirrors. He could be on the defensive as we head into turn one.
He really could, yeah. I mean, I'm not massively shocked, if I'm honest, with Verstappen going for the medium tyres. I think he doesn't really have anything to lose in terms of the championship. He's not in the championship fight. I am massively shocked with Larkin's gamble for the medium tyres. He's in the thick of the action, right in the middle of the pack, on a set of mediums. If he picks up any sort of damage, that is Larkin's race over. There's no way of recovering really from that one, unless there is some sort of safety car. So Larkin's taking a gamble on the people around him and himself not making mistakes into turn one. So we'll have to wait and see whether that works out for him. His ardent teammate J. Cole's directly a row in front of him. Philippe not here today. J. Cole replacing him for today, that it seems. And now coming, everyone lining up at the back of the field. We just wait for Chill and Spag to line up on the final row off of the grid. Chill once again trying to have to work his way back through the field after a poor qualifying. We've seen him do that quite a lot this season. Sometimes it's worked out, sometimes it hasn't. Let's wait and see whether he can pull it off. Seems everyone is into their spot. Here we go then for the start of the feature race. Here come the lights then ahead of the drivers. Who's going to get the best start down towards turn one? The lights are out and away they go, and immediately Toxic already builds a gap ahead of Verstappen. Verstappen slow off the line. Toxic though moving across to cover Verstappen anyway. Lando's already past Campbell. Campbell did not get off to the greatest of starts. Down towards turn one, Toxic has a big lead into the corner. Verstappen really late on the brakes. Has a rear lock, just about holds the car though. Doesn't run into the back of Toxic into turn one. We do have a yellow flag. Someone has spun. I think it might be one of the Uni Virtuosi cars that's gone round in the middle of the pack, and I think as well, I think Ibos might have been caught up in that as well. He's back down to 19th, but Toxic leads down to the end of the first sector. Verstappen held on to second place on those mediums. Campbell and Lando side by side into the De La Rocha chicane. Campbell holds on after that poor start. Somehow we got back ahead of Lando down towards turn one. Pease is in 5th. J. Cole looking down the inside. Can he get the move done into the first Lesmo? Pease leaves him the space, but he's not quite there. Larkin dropped places off the line. Miami's had a brilliant start from 10th on the grid. He's up to 7th place in the ART. Zaldimar's in 8th. Larkin down to 9th from 8th on the grid, and he's side by side there with someone. Sorry, that was the other Arden there. That's J. Cole side by side with Pease once again coming down towards Ascari, and Miami there to capitalise as well. Miami with his best result last time out, looking to build on that momentum. J. Cole down the inside of Pease. There's a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. They just about get away with it. It's going to leave them offline midway through the rest of the corner. Miami is swarming all over the back of them, coming down towards Parabolica, and now Zalama's in this battle for P5. 4 cars basically on the same stretch of road down towards the Parabolica. We've got another spinner in the background. That looks like it's Freak that spun. J. Cole, though, is going to get the move down into Parabolica, but Peas will have the momentum on the outside line coming out of the corner. It does look like, though, J. Cole has got that car fully ahead. He has, and he's up into 5th place, as I believe. Oh, no, that's just a timing glitch on my end. But that was a great battle, and they're still going at it 2 by 2 by 2. Look at Zaldama splitting in the middle, 3 wide. He's going to go from 8th to 5th if he can pull that off. P's massively late on the brakes. I'll be amazed if he can get that one stopped, and he can. How on earth he got that stop for the corner, I do not know. P's at 5th place. Zaldama tried to split the gap, didn't quite work in all that as well. Larkins ended up ahead of Miami.
What a battle down there, and yeah, Larkin moving up. Peace did amazingly well to stay out in front in that battle, but J. Cole still hounding him down towards De La Roja. Holds on for the time being, though, does Total Peas. We'll see now as the timing actually begins to sort itself out. Larkin looks very threatening early on, I have to say, starting to put pressure on XL Zedwa, who runs way through Lesbo 1 and under pressure yet again. So we'll see how that one unfolds. Up at the front, though, we now see Campbell has actually worked his way through up into 2nd place and is now on his just kind of charged through the field now, trying to get back up to Toxic up ahead. Now Jekyll again attacking Total Pace down the inside into Ascari. This time, though, he will hold back. He'll back out of it and just think better of making any over-aggressive, over-ambitious moves for the back down the field, though. Miami is again now coming back in. Larkin looks for the inside line, and they're both closing down on Zedwa, who covers the inside. Down towards Parabolica. Miami nowhere to go. Right outside goes Larkin and trying to get a move done on Zedwa, who holds the inside line. This is the Dutchman of Miami coming back at Larkin now, and they are wheel to wheel over the line now to start lap 3 of this Italian Grand Prix. Parallel over the line, no DRS just yet, so we'll see who'll come out on top of this one. Zedwa's giving Miami the slipstream to stay alongside him there. Lando as well, battling for Verstappen, going through turn 2, and in the end Lando might just get
round.
Antonio has contact back there.
Zaldama round. I think Larkin just got too hot on the brakes and ran into the back of Zaldama. Zaldama spun in front of the pack. There's more carnage. Spag is into the wall and out of the race completely. What a shame from him. He'd had an incredible start from 19th on the grid. It was up into about 12th. He spun. Miami's off the road. Maverick's off the road as well. A number of people caught up in it, and we have a virtual safety car. What a shame for Spag. And one thing I noticed before that contact anyway, Larkin picked up damage. That man on the medium tyres going for that alternate strategy, taking the risk. The gamble hasn't paid off.
We'll see if he can try and make the best of it now. Now, of course, Monza is a relatively low deck circuit, so you probably can't go quite a long way on the soft tyres. So he may be able to get into the pit lane relatively soon. We'll see what strategy he opts for. Up at the front, not really updated you too much on this lead battle because of all the chaos, the carnage going back down there in the midfield. But Toxic leads the way by a decent margin over Campbell as now we get back to green flag racing. Is anyone getting the jump on this restart? I think Maverick's made an error because he's gone almost round at the first lesson corner. Side by side to Sky further up the road there. That's Ryan and Jordan. Ryan getting very forceful and easing Jordan off the road, but is able to get through and up into 12th place now on the road. There's very close battles further up ahead, though. This one for 2nd place is Lando, draws alongside Campbell. They almost touch wheels going down the main straight, but Lando's going to get in front of and Verstappen looking as well, still trying to get up to him. Campbell looks down the inside, can't quite make the move stick. Lando gets through and maintains that 2nd position for the back down the field. Larkin with wing damage coming under pressure from Tim, and yet another inspired race start from QVR Chill. We have a few drivers into the pit lane, presumably after that contact further down the road. But what a start that was from Chill. Start from the back of the field, already up to 9th and threatening Tim and the championship leader. Can Chill keep this going? He can be on for some very solid points here in this race if he keeps this going.
He's halfway through the field already. He's absolutely flying. JD Nolan was ahead of him, but JD Nolan's dived into the pit lane. Both of the Dams cars are coming to the pit lane at the same time, so Ryan is going to get massively held as I just catch Freak spinning on the exit of turn 2. So he's had another spin in this race. Look at Tim, though. He's under masses of pressure from Chill here. Chill trying to get a run down towards Ascari. He's got the DRS open. We've got damage on that front wing of Tim. I think that was from the contact with Zaldama earlier on. So he's going to be under massive pressure from the Prema man who's going to go to the outside line. But Tim doesn't back down on that one. He had the car in front. He goes back onto the racing line. Chill didn't have the straight line speed to pull alongside, but he's running into the back. Oh, he ran into the back of him on the last part of the Ascari chicane. Just about held onto it, but Chill Chill so desperate to get a move on that he nearly cost himself his own race. Just about held it, but that's going to drop him outside of DRS range for the pit straight, and that means he's got to close back in on both drivers in front now. That is Campbell into the pit lane. Wow, end of lap 4. Campbell's already into the pits off of those soft compound tyres, so maybe it's the opposite of what you said, Daka, that the soft tyres maybe actually aren't lasting very long. That's already, we've seen about 5 people now make the stop onto the medium tyres. Campbell, the first of the leaders to pull the trigger, so he's in from 3rd on the road. That puts Verstappen back into the podium places on those medium tyres. And I tell you what, after a relatively poor opening lap, Verstappen's doing a brilliant job at holding onto the back of Lando now.
Yeah, he's able to stay within that DRS, and once you get within that DRS range, it's actually relatively simple to stay with the car that's even quicker than you. So Verstappen making the most of that. Further down the road, I think that was Pease running wide out of De La Roggia, and now J. Cole again putting pressure on. Those two have been inseparable so far. The close battle out on track is Alex and Jordan. Alex just about able to get out in front of ISRL. Jordan and Campbell now a fair way behind them, having put new tyres on. Further up the road though, Total Pace is going to be under pressure now as Jaco picks up the slipstream down the inside for Ascari, and he'll get it done before they reach the corner, I think. He is up the Arden into 4th place, driving a brilliant race so far. Can he keep this one going? Total Peace is trying to get back up to him, and now Chill as well is around the rear wing of Tim now further down the road. So close battles all around then, and he looks towards an inside line trying to squeeze through on the grass. Gets forced off the track by Tim, and further up the road, I can't pick what battle to choose because they're still racing up ahead for 4th place. Race leader Toxic into the pit lane. Verstappen stays out, Lando comes in. Hayes comes in as well. So it was Jaco the only one that stays out there. The soft tyre runners already starting to opt to go pit lane. Toxic in, Lando in. So we'll see now where Campbell emerges. He went for that undercut. How powerful will it be? Can he get up to Toxic? Can he jump clear of Lando? Questions will be answered. Toxic emerges for his pit box. Will he stay ahead of Campbell and maintain that net race lead?
Have to wait and see where Campbell comes out relative to Lando as well. Lando picked up a 5-second speeding penalty. So easy to do here because it's on the exit of such a fast corner. Here comes Campbell then down the pit straight. Where is he relative to Lando? I think he might still be behind him, and he is. By a big margin. I think Lando will be offline coming into the chicane, so Campbell will have a better run through the corner, but Campbell not able to use the undercut to get back ahead of the ART man. So Lando holds on to the pace for the time being. Now let's see whether Lando, with that time penalty, can close in on Toxic. He's only 2 seconds up the road, so Toxic has not driven away from the pack like we usually see from him in a feature race. There's a small gap between them, and Toxic is notorious for picking up penalties, so it's not over just yet. We have to wait and see how this race pans out and how they run on the medium tyres, but it's once again all about how fast Lando can be. Can he close in on Toxic as Chill picks up a time penalty now through Ascari? He's closing in on Larkin, who has to stay out with that damaged front wing. But I tell you what, for a man with a heavily damaged front wing at a track where you need a lot of front wing really for these fast chicanes, he's actually matching the pace of his teammate at the moment.
Yeah, he's staying in it, and that's exactly what he needs. But of course, will they repair that front wing in the pit lane? That's the real question. Jaco finally in on lap 6 of this race, so he will now get a new set of tyres on. He was battling away with Total Peace. See where he emerges in relation to Total Peace then, who runs about 4 seconds behind QVR Campbell, who still bears down on Lando. He's still with it, but we'll see now as Chill also into the pit lane is going to get new tyres on. Now let's look for J. Cole and where he comes out relative to his rival throughout this race. Total Peace currently on for a decent 4th place, a bit of a return to form for him, but J. Cole is going to do everything in his power to try and prevent that. There isn't going to be much in it, I don't think. There, Pease coming down the right straight, he will jump back in front of J. Cole, but J. Cole is still right with him despite staying out a lap longer, so he may well have a chance at rallying back and reclaiming that 6th position on the road. Further up, Campbell is not letting Lando drive away from him. Lando isn't quite, as it seems, matching the pace of Toxic. He's very close, but maybe not quite on it. So he's got to try and find a little bit more, and Campbell staying with it as well. If Toxic picks up a penalty, both of these guys are in the line to try and capitalise. They can't afford mistakes, but neither can Toxic. So it's a right tough battle up the front. Toxic leading away at the moment, in control of this one. But we've seen the races slip his grass, so he's just got to try and avoid the mistakes, keep it clean, and try and head for that race victory.
They're so evenly matched at the moment. moment. There's only a tenth in it in the laps at the moment. They're so close in terms of lap speed that it's all going to be about whether they can reach that limit, whether Lando and Campbell can up their pace and close in. But at the moment, actually, it's a turn of fortune really for Toxic, because both of the drivers behind him have penalties and he doesn't. That's the first time we've really seen that all season, as Pease himself also picks up a time penalty running in 6th place. J. Cole had a speeding penalty in the pit lane, so he's got one as well. Toxic is the only person really in this top 5, this net top 5 at the moment, that doesn't have a penalty apart from Verstappen. We've got to wait and see where Verstappen feeds into all this as well, once he puts the soft tyres on and how fast those soft tyres are. Toxic sets the fastest lap of the race, a 30.7, but I think it's only a tenth faster than Lando on that lap, so still very, very close. J. Cole's just outside of DRS range of Pease as well, battling for what will be, I believe, a net P5 on the road when everyone comes into the pits. Behind them, Chill's running completely on his own at the moment in 8th place from 18th on the grid. He's now running in reverse grid pole position, which is a brilliant comeback from Chill. He struggled so much at Belgium last time out, and this is going to be a massive confidence boost for him, hasn't it?
We'll see if he can keep that momentum going. We've still got half the race to go. One thing to point out is that I was looking at the penalties for Lando and Campbell. It looks like they both got them in pretty much instantaneously.
Wow.
Lando prior to the penalty.
Another one.
Oh, Lando, has he got another penalty?
Yeah, just a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits by the looks of things.
Well, what I'm seeing is that he didn't actually receive any prior warnings. Well, he received one, but he seems to be getting them pretty much instantly anytime he's going off the track. Toxic has two warnings, but Lando has apparently gone off the track 3 times, which would be the equivalent to 1 penalty, according to the race director for me. I'm not sure if it's glitched because I joined the lobby late, but it seems as though there may be something going on here, and that Lando and Campbell are both getting penalties that are rather undeserved. We'll see, of course, if that's just a problem on my end, but that's what I'm seeing on my race director. We'll see now what happens as Lando is a little bit under pressure. Into the pits, by the way, has come Larkin. So is he getting that wing change? Looks like he isn't, and he's going to carry on. So we'll see now if he can make work on the soft tyres. Campbell looking at Lando towards that inside lane, but at the moment we'll just hang back for the time being. I think Verstappen, who is actually still about 28 seconds in front of Toxic now, he will give up that margin, plus some, but we know the soft tyres will likely be quicker at the end. Verstappen could be on for a very top result in this race if he can keep this momentum going. He's currently penalty free, so if he can keep that progress up, he might be able to really challenge in this race, maybe get up towards the front and make an impression for the podium. Verstappen's not out of this race, he's still charging down. He could really get on the podium here.
Absolutely. Now, while you were talking about penalties, both Toxic and Chill picked up a time penalty on the inside of the first part of Ascari. So now Toxic has got his first penalty in this race, but at the moment, it's not going to affect his result. Verstappen is in the pound seat if he can up the pace on the soft tyres, and Verstappen is now into the pit. So we'll stay with Verstappen. He doesn't speed in the pit lane, so he's kept that penalty at bay. And I've noticed as well, running with Lando, Lando seems to match, if not better, Toxic at the majority of the lap. His Achilles heel at the moment seems to be the exit of the Della Roggia chicane. He comes out of that corner and always seemingly puts both left-hand side tyres in the gravel. He's done that 3 laps in a row, I believe, and that is seemingly where he's losing the time. So that, I think, if he improves that, he could be on for maybe trying to close in on Toxic in this race. Verstappen's out of his box on the soft tyres. There goes Toxic past him on the track. So Toxic retakes the lead of this race. There goes Lando and there goes Campbell as well as Verstappen leaves. So he's going to be out in 4th place. He'll be a bit of a ways back, but he's well clear of Pease and J. Cole. So 4th at the moment is settled for Verstappen. He's about 4 seconds off that 2nd place of Lando. How quickly can he close down on those soft compound tyres? Larkin did change his wing, by the way, in the pit stops. He came out in 8th place, 10.6 seconds behind Chill. So he's got a mountain to climb if he wants to try and regain any places. And at the moment, it doesn't quite look like Larkin has the pace to pull that one off.
We'll see if he can try and make it work though. Miami 5 is cruising past Tim down the main straight, and he is up into 9th place and trying to put pressure on Larkin, but can he with those tyres? Tim himself got a bit of a slide on, and now it's JD Nolan for company behind him in the dams. Now the gap between Verstappen and Toxic up in the lead, that could be a headline one, as I'm not sure what the reactions for, Aiden.
Verstappen for a penalty. Verstappen's just picked up a time penalty for exceeding track limit, so that advantage he had is now gone.
Yeah, these penalties aren't popping up for me, I think, because I joined the lobby late. So apologies if I seem a little bit slow, but it's no fault of my own, I'm afraid. But yeah, that's really neutralised Verstappen's charge, because he was looking like, very certainly, that he could easily get into the top two, and maybe even challenge Toxic if things went his way, but now it's a real mountain to climb and he's going to have to try and get on with it. At the moment, actually, he's not really making much more pace than the cars in front. Looks like the medium tyres are pretty handy in race trim. Now, let's see what happens here, because Campbell is a little bit closer to Lando than previous laps, getting up to the rear end and going for the inside. Here comes Campbell for second place on the road there. They both break very, very late, but Lando holds the outside now as the infield for two, but right as he goes Campbell in through into second place. Superb manoeuvre. He makes his way through. He's up in a P2 now on the road. Can he possibly get up to Toxic in the last few laps? Lando as well with 6 seconds of penalties. It had a disadvantage anyway. Verstappen, I'm thinking now that's only come up in my notifications that he did receive a penalty on that last lap, but he's now got a shot at getting up to Lando. That's very, very close, right on the knife edge, and surely Verstappen's tyre advantage could shine through. He looks like he will at least get P3 if he keeps this progress up, but what could have been, remember, he started on the front row, had a real chance. Has the strategy cost him more than it was worth? We'll see. We still have 4.5 laps left in this race. Verstappen's going to have to try and keep pushing, try and get that back up. At the moment, Toxic in control, just about 2.7 seconds in the lead now. Can he get that one back out? Avoid it in case he gets another penalty. Toxic doing what he used to do. Can he hang on in this race? 4 laps to go now at Monza.
I do wonder if something is going on with Lando here, because he just picked up another exceeding track limits time penalty on the exit of the second Lesmo. And I understand that maybe he's run wide a few places, but we've been with him for a full lap and I've not seen him go off the track, and he just picks up another penalty. So I wonder if there is something wrong with Lando on his side of things, because that seems an incredibly harsh penalty for the man currently running in third, and he now runs with I think 11 seconds worth of penalties, which is a massive amount for him. That's going to drop him well down, possibly behind Pease at this rate as well. And another thing I've noticed, these soft tyres just don't look very competitive. Larkin is currently slower than Chill. He's losing pace and is not pulling away from Miami or JD Nolan. And Verstappen, after Lando had been passed by Campbell, obviously Verstappen closed in, but since then I don't think he's taken a single tenth out of that advantage. These soft tyres just don't look strong at all, as Toxic picks up another time penalty. Ooh. And made a mistake at the De La Roggia chicane. That lead is now halved between him and Campbell because of the exit of that corner, and that puts Campbell in penalty range of the race leader. So if Campbell can keep within 3 seconds, Campbell could take his first feature race victory of the season.
He is now bearing down on it, but he's still got to try and hold that advantage. Toxic has to try and make up 1.5 seconds in 3 laps. It seems a very tough order, but we'll see now if he can try and make it work. What's happened, Aiden?
Campbell would now with a penalty, so as soon as Toxic picks up that penalty, Campbell himself picks up on one as well, so now the advantage is neutralised once again.
Wow, that is going to be almost heartbreaking for Campbell. He seems like all of a sudden the pendulum just swings back and forth in this race. But could it be a critical mistake for QBR Campbell? Toxic may well have caught a break in this race. Over the line now, on to lap 13 now here at Monza. We'll see if Toxic MML can hold on to this one. 6 seconds of penalties for both Campbell and for Toxic, but I do think there is I think that first penalty for Campbell may well be a little bit dubious. We'll see how that one fares. This race may not be over just yet. 1.6 seconds to lead for Toxic, but Lando could play a role in this one and potentially thwarting Campbell's charge, because he's now coming back at him. Seems like with penalties he's out of this race in terms of net position, but he's not going to give it up either. 2 tenths shy of Campbell. If he puts on the pressure and forces Campbell into a mistake, it could really cost him. And all of a sudden, Verstappen seems a little bit more likely to try and get it back in. Only 3 seconds of penalties for Verstappen. He's not out of this race either.
Now, at the moment, I think Verstappen's just within penalty range of second place here, so he could jump ahead of his China teammate, which is crucial for their battle for third in the standings. Here comes Lando, though, going for a move again on Campbell. He's going to go down the inside, down towards the Ascari chicane, but he backs out of the move at the last moment. He doesn't go for it, and I wonder whether he knows that because he does have more penalties, he's not going to try and fight this one too hard. Campbell stays in second place, and again, the second lap in a row, Toxic tipped 2 wheels in the dirt on the exit of the De La Roggia chicane. He seems to be struggling in that corner now. I wonder whether he's starting to pick up a little bit of tyre wear on those tyres. You'd expect Campbell to be the one to be struggling, because he's on the oldest set of medium compound tyres out of everyone here. But Toxic seemingly struggling to keep that car on the road. And all of a sudden, Lando, the pace he lost, he seemingly regained, because he's now once again all over the back of Campbell. He's going to move to the inside for the first chicane. Can he get that move done before the braking zone? It looks like he can. He's already ahead, so Lando, who lost the pace, has seemingly found it again, and now he's absolutely flying and nearly within DRS range of the race leader now.
It seems as though Lando may not be able to get net position, but he's still going to charge for it. One thing to look out for Verstappen is 3.9 seconds behind Toxic MML with one less penalty. So that's that net 3-second gain. He's got to try and make up just under a second in these last 2 laps. He's a contender for victory here. Lando made a little mistake and Campbell almost like the inside into Lesbo just holds back for the move there. That would have been a bit too risky, but a little mistake from Lando, just dropping him back out of that DRS range and dragging Campbell back with him. So we'll see now if Campbell can strike back. DRS is open for the Scotsman, and he now gets into that slipstream but immediately pulls out. He's still going to go for it though. He's down the inside, closes the DRS though, lifts off the throttle. He's not interested in going for this manoeuvre. He just wants to try and hold back and maybe go for something a bit more reasonable. He doesn't want to take too many risks. He knows that he'll get it on pens anyway. We'll see how this one concludes. We've got just over a lap to go. I mentioned Verstappen is a victory contender, but that gap is held steady now, 4 seconds. So Toxic is doing what he needs to do, making the pace that he needs to make. With just over a lap to go, he's doing what he needs to do. 1 lap left, and Toxic, it's been a bit hard fought with the penalties, but it looks like he may just hang on and grab a crucial feature race to get well into the championship lead here, which could be vital for his hopes. And as Campbell coming back at Lando, I think Lando may have let him through almost down the straight. Through goes Campbell into second, but Toxic leads the way. 1.8 seconds clear now. If he holds on to it, the race win could be crucial. We're locking all the way down in 8th. Toxic could really take a stranglehold in the championship now.
This is going to be a massive leap for Toxic in here. Larkin just absolutely nowhere in this race in terms of pace as well. On those soft compound tyres, has only gained a second on chill in 5 laps. He's got no pace at the moment. He's only pulled away from Miami by about 2 seconds on the same set of tyres. So he's really struggled to find any sort of pace. And obviously that damage earlier on as well, going for that risky strategy has not paid off. And it almost seems like the alternate strategy wasn't the way to go today. I've never seen the medium tyres so strong all season long. They've had such good pace consistently throughout this race. Toxic though coming up to the Sky chicane for the last time. Campbell just defending to the inside against Lando up into the chicane. Lando though not quite close enough to get back into second place on the road, but at the moment it's all in vain. He will drop down the order with the penalties he has. Toxic once again has had this one really under control. There's been a couple moments in this race where it looked like it might slip away from him, but in the end he was able to just about hold on as he now comes round the Parabolica for the final time in this feature race. Again, another brilliant race this season, and Toxic is going to pick up yet another feature race victory as he comes round the final corner and crosses the line to win the feature race here in Italy. Brilliant drive from him. Campbell and Lando cross the line, but Verstappen jumps the pair of them only 7/10 off the race win in the end. It was so close, but the soft tyres just didn't give him enough pace at the end. Pease nearly beats Lando to 5th place. J. Cole crosses the line with that time penalty. He crosses in 6th. Chill from the back row of the grid into 7th place and only 4 seconds behind J. Cole. What a drive from him as well. Larkin to cross the line all on his own. Nearly gets ahead of Chill on penalties, but stays in 8th place where he started this one. Miami crosses the line in 9th. JD Nolan will cross the line in 10th, but he has a whole plethora of penalties. Tim will probably jump ahead of him. He does. So Tim jumps back into the top 10 with those penalties. But massive championships win. Larkin, for the first time this season, really makes a crucial error and isn't able to recover from it.
Yeah, and this can be so vital because, of course, the bulk of the points for the night come through in the feature race. So even though Larkin has pole position for the next race, even if he manages to convert that, it won't be as much of a swing in his favour that Toxic has gained for both pole position and the race win here. Fastest lap, I believe, went to Verstappen. I'm just going to check that really quickly. I can actually get hold of it. But Toxic, that is so vital. Grabbing that race win, and now could we see a bit of a momentum shift here? Chill deservedly gets driver of the day from the game, an inspired drive from the back of the grid, and he will also be a real fixture up at the front for the next race. But Toxic, critical win, big for the championship. And now as we're getting into the second half of this season, it looked as though Larkin held the edge all the way through, but are we seeing now the inevitable beginning to happen? Toxic now rallying back, fighting back, now into the championship lead. Will he stay there, though, for the rest of the season? We'll find out in what has been such an unpredictable season. But Toxic, big win, and he is now beginning to grab a stranglehold on this. Can Larkin fight it back, though?
Many will argue that Toxic should have been leading this championship really from the outset. Larkin in the first half of the season did a great job to capitalise on the mistakes of Toxic, but Toxic is starting to iron those mistakes out, so he's getting more and more dominant as the season goes on, and Larkin seemingly can't quite keep the pace at the moment. Poor qualifying yet again this time round has massively cost him, and I think that's possibly one of his, if not the worst race finish he's had all season long, is an 8th place, which is crazy to think based on the season we've had so far. Toxic then wins the race. Verstappen second and fastest lap. That alternate strategy nearly worked for him, but not quite. Only 7/10 off the win. As we say, it was a dominant win from Toxic, but he only won the race by 7/10 of a second. That's dominant at Monza. Campbell picks up a double podium for Trident. He's in 3rd place, but a penalty for him at the end of the race cost him a possible victory. Lando in 4th after a number of penalties for him. Pease 5th ahead of J. Cole 6th, Chill 7th, Larkin on reverse grid pole in 8th, Miami 9th, and Tim rounds off the top 10. Zaldama recovers to 11th after being punted off the road. Alex, JD Nolan, Maverick, Ryan, Jordan, Freak, Ibo are the finishers. Spag retired at the start of the second lap after contact. After what could have been a great race for him, he ended up retiring from the race on that alternate strategy, so he wasn't able to work his way through the field. But now with Larkin on the front row alongside Chill, this is going to be massively important for the rest of the championship. Ooh. And we have got a wet sprint race. Now, this is a completely different dynamic.
Absolutely. There we go, stealing your line. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, though, because this really changes things, because you saw the kind of status quo in terms of the pace, but this could really change things. The wet, of course, driving in wet weather is a completely different skill set to driving in the dry. So it could really see now a really unique set of drivers challenging up at the front. We'll see who's able to prevail. We've not had much rain, if any, this season. So we'll see how it all unfolds ahead of this one. Larkin on pole, we'll see if he can try and make the most of it, try and get back into that championship fight, or if Toxic can potentially make the ground in the race. We'll see, of course. This is, I believe, going to be full wet conditions. Of course, the F2 cars are forced onto full wets, but then it's pouring it down. Look at this. Extremely heavy rain, very wet track. We'll see now how it all unfolds then. Ahead of this one, hugely unique race. Can Larkin overturn it? Who will prevail in this one? It's such an intriguing prospect ahead of the sprint race then. Very unique. Thankfully, all the drivers are on wets. I don't want to see anyone's on slick side of this one. But yeah, Larkin, Chill your front row. But that order is probably not going to hold up because it's so unpredictable in the wet. One of the best races we had this season was partially wet back in Austria, I believe. So we'll see how that one unfolds. But Larkin's going to try and lead it away. We'll see if he can try and convert that to pole position and try and get himself back into the championship lead.
And like you say, this is really the first time this season we've had properly wet conditions. That Austrian sprint race that you mentioned, absolutely brilliant race, my highlight of the season so far. But it was basically only spitting with rain. It wasn't enough rain to warrant using the full wet compounder tyres. Everyone was on the slicks in these damp conditions, which made it so interesting. But now full wet weather conditions here, proper conditions for these full wet tyres, is a completely different dynamic. And I'm going to make a bold prediction here. We had a full wet Division 3 race at the weekend at Belgium, and obviously Formula 1 cars are completely different beasts to Formula 2 cars. But when I tell you Total P's utterly dominated in the wet conditions at Belgium, I say he was on another level compared to the field that he was in that race. And people in that field included the likes of J. Cole, who's in front of him on the grid, and Miami as well, the people around him in the field that were in that race. He utterly dominated. So I think P's in the full wet conditions, P's could be the one to look out for here.
Well, we will see then. Keep an eye out for P's coming off that line. Of course, even just getting off the line in these cars is a whole different challenge. We've seen, drivers struggle consistently with just getting these cars through and getting a clean start in the dry conditions, but in the wet, well, that is a whole different challenge. Now, Larkin's going to guide them round, and we'll see. So I'm just going to come up to you quickly. Is P's then your bet for the race win? Do you think he'll be able to make it up?
I think if he's able to carry the momentum that he had in Belgium at the weekend to this race, I do think Pease is the one to look out for. I think Pease could take the win here.
Well, we will see. I also know from experience Larkin is also a very handy wet driver, as is Verstappen. So we'll see now how those drivers are able to fare. Here we go then, the back of the grid now forming up ahead of our sprint race. And of course now Larkin Show front row. We'll see of course how it all unfolds down there on the run down towards turn 1. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for the sprint race here at Monza. The lights are now coming on now. We have 4, 5 lights. Long hold, but we are away for the sprint race there. Larkin gets a good start off like Chill. A little bit slower there. Total Peace had a brilliant start. From 4th on the grid, he's already challenging for 2nd down there. Wheel to wheel, with Chili might just get in front. And a great start is from Lando. Lando going right outside, almost leading the lead then. He's wheel to wheel with Larkin. Contact between them. Lando, the most unlikely leader, but I don't think it's quite going to materialise. Through goes Larkin into the race lead. Battling, swapping in possessions. There's been a massive hold up down there in turn 2 then. Campbell stacking up the entire field as they all duck and dive looking for position. There's a break amongst the top 4 drivers. Larkin leads the way. Lando bearing down on him in second. Then you have Pease, Chill, and a huge gap back to Campbell. Remarkable start down there. Jacob had a horrible start. For Stamini is battling with there who gets squeezed out. And De La Rocha chicane. You can see visibility is horrible out there for the drivers. The right tail ride nearly went round. It is chaos back there. Yellows as well, but Larkin did what he needed to do. Leads away is Lando, I think lagging out of line there, a little bit odd. And now Total Peace trying to get up to him, but Larkin leads away. Lando second, Peace third, Chill fourth. What an odd start to this race, but the pole sitter just holds on in front of Lando halfway through the lap 1. What a start we've seen here at Monza.
That is the best launch off the grid I've seen all season long from a driver from Lando. From 5th on the grid to 2nd, nearly into, well, technically into the lead into turn 1. Just couldn't quite pull the move off, but what a start that was from absolutely nowhere. I thought Pease was the one to look out for at the start. He had a good start, but Lando came from nowhere and nearly stole that one off of him. He gets down into 2nd place, but what a start from 5th on the grid for him. Toxic meanwhile in the background side by side with Miami. Into the parabolic, he's going to go down the inside. Can he keep that move stuck on the exit of the corner? He can, so he's up into 6th place in the wet conditions as well. Toxic working his way through the field nicely. Up into 6th ahead of Miami. There's 3 wide in the background. We've got Tim, I believe, side by side with Verstappen and J. Cole. J. Cole from 3rd on the grid has dropped outside of the top 10. His start was so atrocious. Oh, and there's big contact. Verstappen, I think, drove into the side of Tim's car, bounced off of the Univirtuosi and into J. Cole. They both, I believe, picked up damage. Actually, I think Verstappen's got away with it, but definitely damage on Chill's car. Not Chill's car, sorry, J. Cole's car. J. Cole definitely picked up front wing damage, so he is going to drop even further down the field. Ibo, for some reason, has put medium compound tyres on. I think that must have been a mistake in the pit lane. But also, I think, has Toxic made a mistake, or no? He's past Chill, actually. Chill's the one that's made a mistake, so Chill from 4th has dropped behind both Campbell and Toxic now, so he's up another place. Chill down to 7th.
Yeah, Chill making that little bit of an error. What a drive it's been all the way through from Chill so far, but yeah, now he's been set back and he's going to have to try and recover. As finally the timing screen actually sells it back out. I think Freak Rogue has made a bit of an error down there. De La Rocha dropping back as Evo gets a penalty for corner cutting, unsurprisingly unable to control that car with the slicks on. So now the field is trying to settle into lane. Further back down the field, Ryan got past Jordan, who must have been struggling for traction. Now has Nolan threatening him, and I know it's for 15th place, but these guys are going at it. Dead inside goes Nolan into a scar. They make a bit of contact there. Jordan is forced off the road, and now almost going round. Has to try and correct him, and ultimately the contact sends him spinning round, trying to recover it, but he's now isolated down there at the back of the field. So unlucky for Jordan. I'm going to turn my attention up towards the lead fight. See how it all unfolding. Animal and Larkin is doing everything it needs to be done. He leads. I take him a second. Someone off there. I think that's Jacob. Jacob out of Parabolica. Blocking the road there. And yeah, the Arden's gone round. He's driven so solidly so far. I'm going to go off ahead though, because now Toxic is attacking Campbell over that 4th place. Can he get better traction? The AC has a much better run. The QBR Campbell and is hunting for it there. Looks towards the outside. Going to Curva Grande. Barely gets it through the gap. Now around the outside to grab the inside line for De La Rocha. Can Campbell hold it on the inside? Momentum is with Toxic though. Now has the line on the inside, but backs out of it. Campbell late on those brakes. Just about does enough. Outbreaks. Toxic maintains that 4th position. Runs a little bit wide further down the field though. Sediment now is attacking Tim and the Univirtuosi wheel to wheel now through turns 4 and 5, but eventually Zauma's going to get that move done. He's up into the top 10 there. It is manic down there, and still Toxic threatening Campbell, looking all over his rear wing, but Campbell does get a good run out of Lesbo too. Has just about enough in the tank, going down towards the Scary to maintain that. Those guys now dropping off the lead to trio, as now Total Peace and Lando keeping Larkin on up there. Just under 3 laps through, Larkin has maintained the race lead, but he has not been able to break away. Lando P still right with him here.
Yeah, it's the top three are really a freight train at the moment. They're just disappearing from the rest of the field. Campbell regained that gap to Chill basically on lap 2 quite nicely, but since then hasn't been able to close in on the leader. Someone was wide in the background. That's Tim, who's gone off the road coming out of Ascari. I think he kept it out of the wall, but he's lost a few positions because of it. Verstappen and Alex are still going at it down into the Parabolica, and I think Verstappen has finally got that move done. So he's back into 8th place after his poor start as well. As Toxic's going for a move now on Campbell down the inside. Campbell leaves the door open. Can Toxic get on the brakes late enough to get the move done? He's on the wetter part of the road, so we'll have a little bit less grip, but Campbell down the outside locks up a little bit. Toxic a bit deep on the brakes, but gets the move done on the brakes into the first chicane. Nice move from Toxic, and he's up into 4th place. Campbell trying to come back at him, but just doesn't have the grip coming out of the corner. Toxic so confident on the traction coming out of these chicanes. Meanwhile, there's carnage in the background at the chicane. I think there was a couple people off the road there. Tim was one of them. I don't know if JD Nolan was involved in that as well. He's picked up some damage, but there was just, it was basically a blockage in the road there. A lot of people coming into contact in the background. So people really struggling in these wet conditions.
Yeah, and that is, of course, a challenge, especially at a track like Monza. It's dangerous enough in the dry in some places there, but the traction out of certain corners, because it's got a lot of slow corners in the first half of the lap, can really make this track a vital challenge. We'll see now, even Curva Grande is probably very scary in these Formula 2 cars, trying to take it flat out, knowing that you could aquaplane out at any moment. Now, up at the front, Lando, that's some wet pace we weren't expecting. Look at this. He's getting ever closer to Larkin 4S up in the race lead, and he is right on him. Total Piece is trying to live with it. 2.5 seconds behind to Toxic. He may be able to try and get himself back into this one as well, but Lando is showing superb pace, and now has Larkin right in his crosshairs and looking for that race lead and gets hold of both of them, struggling for traction out there. Larkin gets a very slightly better exit, but will it be enough now? Slipstream in favour of Lando. He says the fastest lap. He's got the overspeed now on Larkin, now bearing down at 320 kilometres an hour. Maybe enough to draw alongside. Will it be enough to get himself in front? They both break very late between the inside Lando, but right the outside, Larkin may just hold on to it. I think he may just about do it there, but there's still space for Lando to drive into. He's right up against the grass here, but he's just about able to fight it. Wheel to wheel now through Curva Grande there. Lando's still fighting the car, trying to keep it alive, but Larkin may just hold on. They head towards Della Rogia with the Arden just about in front. Lando tries to fight it back around the outside, can't quite manage it. Larkin just about holding on to the race lead. Now Total Pace is right with him. Game on now for the race lead. Larkin just about held on to it, but this is tightening him up now, really getting closer up the front, and now Toxic is getting back into it. He's closed a full second on this group for the lead now.
As they start to battle, yeah, Toxic and Campbell both closing in now. These three really starting to hurt their momentum that they had. Toxic was really wide coming out of the second Lesbo, but somehow, and he's still closing in a straight line. Here goes Lando though down towards the sky. He's got the inside line, but he's not quite able to get there before the braking zone, so he backs off, goes back in behind Larkin into the corner. Larkin needs this race victory to keep his championship hopes alive, really, to stop the momentum that Toxic is building. Toxic again wide coming out of Ascari. He's got that car all over the road, but he's somehow keeping pace with it as well. Chill in the background's under massive pressure from Miami. Chill not enjoying these wet conditions, and Miami seemingly is. He's looking to the outside, I think, for the Parabolica. Tries to go for the move, but is going to try and square off the corner and get a better exit down towards the first chicane. Verstappen took the fastest lap on the last lap as well on his comeback after that poor start. Back to the front of the field though. Lando once again with a great slipstream into turn 1. He's going to go to the inside line, and once again Larkin's going to try and hold it around the outside into the corner. Who's going to brake late? Lando's incredibly late on the brakes. There's a bit of contact. He just about leaves Larkin's space. Larkin gets fully ahead on the exit of the corner, and then Pease with a great run out of the chicane is going to try and draw alongside Lando for the Curva Grande. Is going to have the outside line, which will turn into the inside for the Della Rogia. JD Nolan's retired in the pit lane, so that should not bring out any safety car, it seems. Pease looking very racy. Lando's got great straight line speed as well, trying to come back at Larkin into the corner. Oh my word, that was so close to the back of him. He just about keeps out of the rear wing of Larkin, and Pease, oh, he's off the road. He's completely lost the car, and I think he took Pease with him. I didn't quite see. There's a virtual safety car for that front wing damage that Lando was just picked up, but Lando lost the car on the exit and has completely lost his front wing, and he so nearly took Pease with him. I don't know how Pease avoided full contact with the wall there, and that puts Toxic now into 3rd place and within striking distance of Larkin.
Yeah, Toxic now from the rear of the field, chasing a double victory near maximum points. Of course, he won't get it due to fastest laps, but he is really on a charge now and has his championship rival in his sights. Total Peas barely got away with that one. He doesn't have any visible damage, so he can still carry on the fight. And we'll see now, even the virtual safety car can play a big role in who times it the best. Total Peas has left a bit of a gap to Larkin and now leads by about 1.5 seconds up there at the front. And Lando now on the back of Campbell, but of course, with that wing, is now going to get back to racing immediately. So now, looks like Total Peas has taken this one pretty well, getting back up towards Larkin, but now Toxic draws ever nearer to the race lead, and now he's right in the fight. So how is this going to unfold as we head down the main straight? Larkin still leads the way. Lando inevitably comes into the pit lane there. Toxic looks towards the inside line, but of course he's not going to go at it from that distance. Verstappen's charge continues for the back though, and he now goes side by side with Miami 5 down the inside. They both break late, but Verstappen rules it side by side through turn 1, but through turn 2 Miami gets in front. Verstappen looks for traction on exit there. Miami just about betters him and maintains second position out there, and he's trying to keep chill in his sights further up the road there. Verstappen still putting pressure on, but unable to get through. Now up in the front, Total Peas now has a clear shot at Larkin. Your tip for the race lead is now coming into his own. 3/10 the gap. Half a second covers the top three. So tight up there. It could be the smallest mistake. Now Toxic's going for early. There's a mistake from Total Peas. Down inside goes Toxic. He's going to go through. He now into second place. The defending champion and championship leader Peas doing everything in his power to try and fight it back towards the Ascari. Tucked it under the rear wing of the Prema, who defends the inside for Ascari. Covering it off. Round outside tries Peas, but that is not going to work. Toxic immediately covers it off. He now runs second. Superb drive so far from Toxic. Almost loses it out of Ascari though. And Peas now coming back down the outside, down the left. Going down towards Parabolica now. He gets his nose in front, but Toxic throws it back down the inside. He's not giving this one up. They're wheel to wheel through Parabolica, who's coming out of this one in front. Toxic nose ahead, now powering out. When Total Peas trying to get back in the slipstream down the main street now, going down towards the Rettifilio. So here we go now. Down the back, down the home straight now, and now Total Peas back to the inside cover by Toxic then. They're going to duel it around the outside. Peas, can he get that one done? He breaks almost as late. He's going to force him out wide as Toxic. Peas has to cut through the grass, rejoins side by side with the championship leader, and now they squirt for traction on the exit. But Toxic finally just gets in front. It was forceful, it was aggressive, but it just about worked. He now over the second place, but Peas is fighting back again. Now going down towards De La Rocha. That's immediately coming off. Peas through the grass, desperate to get round, but he can't find the space. Total Peas runs wide and drops out of contention for the race lead. Surely now, Total Peas gave it everything, but ultimately came off second base. Has to let him through then. Absolute heartbreak for Total Peas now in the race lead. Now Toxic has a clear run at Larkin. Please take over, Aiden. That was a remarkable sequence of events.
That was absolutely incredible stuff, but aggressive defending, and I think fair defending from Toxic means that Peas is caught out and now down at the back of the field. Meanwhile, Verstappen continues his charge. He's fourth. Where has he come from? He breezes past Chill down towards Ascari and gets the move done. Chill's trying to come back at him into the corner, but he doesn't have the speed into it. And we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2 as well. Someone spun. That's Tim that spun coming out of the second Lesbo. I don't know if he's hit the wall. Let's go down and have a look. I think he might have picked up front wing damage by the looks of things, but he's spun the car all on his own. But Verstappen, he's only 4 seconds behind his teammate and he's flying up into fourth place now, ahead of Peas after his mistake, and now ahead of Chill. Now back to this battle for the race lead. Our two championship leaders, I don't think we've ever really seen them on track together before in this season, and Toxic picks up the fastest lap of the race on that lap as well, whilst battling Peas. So he's absolutely flying, and he's now onto the back of the race leader. Peas picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's come in and is going to retire as Toxic very late on the brakes, just about holds the car, but that's going to give Larkin a little bit of breathing space. We've only got 3 laps to go in this one, so there's not a lot of time left, and obviously there's no DRS in aiding of overtaking, so Toxic's got to do this on pure pace alone. He does seem to have the pace, but that little mistake gives Larkin a little bit of breathing room, at least for the next few corners.
We'll see now if he can try and pull that one back. By the way, Larkin is completely warning free. Toxic is showing up as having 3 warnings. I'm guessing at least one of those is for a collision, but nevertheless he's probably a little bit closer to a penalty than Larkin is. So keep that in mind as we head into the final 2.5 laps. Now that's thrilling Monza sprint And we have the ultimate prospect of the two championship leaders sharing the same piece of tarmac and fighting over the race lead. It doesn't get more high stakes than this, unless you're of course in the last round of the championship. But at the moment, Larkin is holding on. Toxic, if he puts clean laps together, looks to be the faster of the two drivers in these conditions. He's bridged the gap. He started 7 places behind on the grid versus his main championship rival, and he has made that up. He has proven that he has the speed, the outright speed. Now can he get it done on track when he really can to grab a crucial double victory here at Monza? He's getting ever closer, drawing ever nearer as they head through Parabolica for the third to last time. But I think now 4/10 of a second with no DRS might just be to the good for Larkin 4S. Holding on at the moment, but Toxic gaining, reeling in. Oh, it was only a 10th off his fastest lap, and that was with a major mistake in turn 1. He is flying as Toxic. He has so much more speed, so much more pace. Now he just has to see it through. 2 laps to go. Toxic chasing it. It could come down to the final lap here at Monza. A critical battle there. Who's going to come in on top of this championship clash?
I can't call this one. I don't know what is going to happen in this one. Larkin has defended so well all race long, but Toxic is definitely his biggest challenger at the moment in terms of championship as well. So this is going to be so crucial for Larkin to get this win. He needs this to try and null the effects of the championship lead that Toxic is going to have coming out of this event. Toxic doesn't need to take the risk and go for the win, but we know what Toxic's like. He will go for any win and any opportunity that comes to him, and he's closing in even more. He's only 3/10 back. He looks so strong in the Lesmos. That seems to be his strong point on the track. Coming out of the second Lesmo, does he have a run? He's not going to be close enough to Larkin down into Ascari. He won't be close enough this time round, so we only have really a few overtaking spots left in this race for Toxic to try and pull this one off. And if he does make a mistake, Campbell is there waiting in the wings, ready to pounce. Verstappen is utterly flying. He's taken a second out of Campbell in the last lap and a bit. What a shame he had a poor start, because he could have been right in this battle for the race victory. He dropped outside of the top 10 on the opening lap, and he's now running 4th, and he's dropped Chill by 2.5 seconds. He's flying along. Alex as well, a notable shout out for Alex in these wet conditions, running 7th. Definitely his best result of the season so far if he can hold on to it. But he's got Ryan and Spag all over the back of him. Spag started this race in last place and is now running 9th in the full wet conditions with no safety car. That's a brilliant drive from him. We come down though to the first chicane for the final time, and Toxic is not close enough. There's no difference in lap speed that time round. Larkin held the gap. Toxic couldn't close in, so he's not close enough into the chicane. He's going to have to try and move maybe down towards the Della Roggia or down towards the Ascari chicane. But at the moment, Larkin is doing just enough to hold on to this, as Lando's retired from the session coming out of the Ascari corner.
Yeah, Lando unfortunately bowing out of the race then at the last. It's been a nightmare day for Lando. He looked for just a moment that he might challenge for the race win out here, but it's not to be. Now we look towards the conclusion, the final chapter of this saga at Monza. We'll see now. Larkin is driving an inspired final lap here. He draws 8/10 clear. Can he hold on to it now? We have half a lap to go and time is running out for Toxic MML. He's going to need to absolutely nail the last half of this lap if he wants any chance. Here we go now. Down into Ascari for the final time in this evening. And 2 championship contenders sharing the same piece of tarmac. But at the moment, Larkin is just about getting the better into Ascari. He's pushing the track limits now. He is not letting off the gas, but Toxic is flying as well. The gap 6/10, but surely Larkin has this if he doesn't make a major error coming up the parabolic, and that's going to be the final test of the championship contender. Now, here we go. One more corner left now. Larkin runs a little bit wide. Toxic takes it a little bit tighter on the inside, but I think it won't be enough. They power out then. They can just fight for traction, but in the end, Larkin will just about hold on in a thrilling climax. In the end, he couldn't quite make up the difference to Toxic, but what a drive anyway. Campbell in the end gets third. Verstappen backs him up 4th. Their Chill will come through potentially for a top 5 finish. I think he will just hold it on penalties. Wow, 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 what a fight for the race when we saw, but Larkin never gave it up. He was the equal to every challenge he threw at him. Toxic drove superbly, but ultimately just ran out of laps, couldn't quite get up to him. Larkin is the race winner, but Toxic in the end you have to say he's won the day, and he will surely leave Monza with a healthy championship lead.
He cannot be disappointed in any way with how that sprint race went, from 8th to 2nd in the full wet weather conditions, nearly winning the race. That is an inspired drive by Toxic. In the end, Larkin takes the victory from pole position, but he will be ruining that mistake at the start of the feature race, thinking what could have been for him. He could have been so much closer. He could have been right at the front of the field for the feature race, but it didn't work out that way. He's going to lose out massively this time round, especially only one place ahead of Toxic in the sprint race is not really a massive point gain. I think it's only about 3 points, so there's not really anything in this for Larkin winning this one ahead of Toxic in second place, so he's going to be hoping for a much better run at Singapore next time out to try and close back in on Toxic. But the last 3 rounds for Toxic have gone very, very well in terms of speed. He has been utterly dominant in the last 3 rounds so far, and he is taking some heavy momentum into the second half of this season. He's looking on fire with a 1-2 in today's results. He'll be very happy with that. Another shout as well to Campbell. 2 podiums for him today, 2 third places in 2 completely different races. He did a great job, but in the end the Trident man just didn't quite have the pace of the top 2. He couldn't close in, but again a solid day for Campbell.
Yeah, and he can be very pleased with that. And yeah, he and Verstappen actually both drove very well throughout the day, so shout outs to both those Trident drivers. A better round for them, and that's what we were expecting at the start of the season for them. Now, though, they've got used to the cars and they're beginning to find their stride, and that's just another thing for the championship contenders to worry about, that as the field gets bigger in competitiveness, we're seeing now the dynamic of the championship fight begins to change. In the end, though, Larkin does take a vital sprint race victory. If he hadn't won that ahead of Toxic, well, it could have started to look really ugly for him in the championship. It can all turn around, of course, as we get into the final rounds. But Toxic, a big series of events then. Pole, the first race win, and a brilliant second place as well in the sprint race. Drags him into a championship lead. Now we're going to see in the final rounds if he can hold on to it.
Momentum with Toxic then as we head into the next round. Larkin picks up the sprint race victory from pole position, but Toxic with the second place finish from 8th on the grid in the full wet conditions. Campbell with 2 podiums today, he finishes in 3rd. Verstappen, what a shame he had a mistake on that first lap. He dropped down I think to about 12th place at the end of the first lap, worked his way back up to 4th with the fastest lap and only 5 seconds off the win. He had incredible pace in those wet conditions and it just didn't work for him in the end. Chill holds on to 5th, having not had the pace in the wet that he did in the dry. Miami takes 6th. They had a Ryan 7th from 15th on the grid. Good drive from him. Spag 19th on the grid to 8th. What a shame that he crashed out of the feature race. He could have been so much further up in this one. Alex takes 9th in the Uni Virtuoso ahead of Zaldama, who will be gutted with his results today. I think Zaldama, obviously that spin in the feature race and not having the pace in the wet, that's going to cost him in the championship in his battle with Chill for 5th place. Maverick 11th ahead of Tim. J. Cole, what a crazy race he had. Jordan, Freak, Ibbo are your finishers. Lando, Pease and JD Nolan all out of the race, and Pease and Lando there are going to be massively ruining the mistakes they made.
Yeah, it looked as though they were going to fight for that race lead, but yeah, just throwing it away with some errors there, and ultimately that's what allowed Toxic to have that clear run. In the end, Larkin saw it off, but you know, Toxic really took advantage of others' mistakes this time, and that now be a bit of a turnaround for Toxic. Is he really starting to find his feet now? And that is a scary sign. If you have Toxic being clinical and taking advantage of others' mistakes, well, that's a very scary prospect for everyone else as we get into the dying rounds of the season now.
I'll tell you what though, next week is going to be incredibly interesting. We head to Singapore, which is probably the most unique track we've had on the calendar this season. It is obviously a very tight street circuit, a long street circuit. We're going to see laps probably there in the 2 minutes in terms of the length, just because of the nature of the circuit, and it will be the longest race of the season, the longest feature race and sprint race of the season in terms of time as well. And that's one thing to look out for. And that track is notoriously hard on penalties as well. So Singapore next week is going to be incredibly interesting, isn't it?
We'll see if, because again, it's one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar. I think that almost everyone can unanimously agree on that. So really, there's a lot of pressure on all the drivers here to try and keep it clean, because it could be a very different race. Monza is a rather unique track. Well, it's very different in the fact that, yes, it does punish mistakes, but not nearly as much as Singapore does. So we'll see how that'll unfold. But yes, Singapore is going to be arguably even a race of attrition. We'll see who avoids it. I think we could see some shock results next time out.
I really do. I agree with you on that one as well. Like you say, race of attrition. It's going to be the people that don't make the mistakes that are going to come home with good results there. And I don't know who really to look out for next time out. That's going to be an interesting one to predict when we go to Singapore. But that is where we're going to end the stream today, guys. Actually, before we do end the stream, I'm going to ask the terrifying question, Daka. Who was your driver of the day today?
Probably one of the simpler choices, to be honest, this season. I think I'm sorry, but it has to be Toxic. He didn't really put a foot wrong all the way through. Dominant pace, as per usual, and yeah, took a big haul of points to help in the championship fight. Honourable mentions to both Trident drivers. They both drove great as well, but Toxic was on another level today.
He really, really was. Yeah, I'd like to give an honourable mention as well to Chill for his feature race performance from the back of the grid to 7th. What a drive from him. That's definitely one of his highlights of the season, I would say, in terms of his performances. So he can take that as a positive going into the next round. But now, I will say it for the second time, that is where we're going to end the stream today, guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for commenting on stream. Thank you everyone for racing as well. Thank you, Daka, for joining me in the commentary box once again. And we will see you again next time for round 12 at Singapore. From myself and Daka, it is thank you very much and goodbye.